Hi, Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. So the torrent of news about sexual harassment cases over the last couple of weeks has been nothing short of extraordinary. In fact, I'm not even sure the word torrent covers it. There's been a lot of discussion. I've been involved in some of these conversations about whether or not we've really reached a tipping point in our society. Some people think yes, some people think no. People who say no, they tend to remember Anita Hill testified before Congress about being sexually harassed. Not enough people took her seriously. I should say not enough men took her seriously. But nothing changed, and they're not persuaded that everything's going to change now. Now, I think social media could have an enormous impact on this. It is possible that social media will simply create this momentum that will mean that, they won't be able to sweep it under the rug. They won't be able to stop the conversation. They won't be able to stop the exposure of men who have behaved inappropriately towards women. There was an NBC Wall Street Journal poll the other day which had some alarming statistics. Like, for example, 48% of women in the workplace say at some point in their lives they've been sexually harassed, either verbally or physically. 41% of men in the workplace say they've seen sexual harassment take place. 67% of people in the United States say they believe that sexual harassment takes place in the workplace. Interestingly enough, women between the ages of 18 and 49, 78% of them believe that it takes place in the workplace. Not surprisingly, a smaller number, 55% of men over 50, believe that it takes place. Democrats tend to believe it's more prevalent, and independents think it's more prevalent than Republicans do. Go figure. And the good news is that 49% of men, if there's any good news here, 49% of men say they're going to rethink how they treat women in the workplace because of all the stories. Now, let's be clear about a couple of things. The vast majority of stories about sexual harassment has involved either the entertainment industry or the media business. Okay, and I've talked to people who say, see, this is an indictment of those industries. This has nothing to do with us. I think that's total BS. 48% of women in the workplace have been sexually harassed. Not 48% of women in entertainment and media. 48% of women in the workplace. That means your company. If you're a CEO, that means almost 1 out of 2 women in your company have probably been sexually harassed at some point. It's up to you to do something about it. These women have suffered at the hands of men in the C-suite, sometimes men further down the food chain who think they have power. They want to exercise it over women. And quite frankly, they have a lasting impact in terms of the repercussions on these women. It is so wrong. And here's the deal. If you're a CEO right now, or you have to either send out an email or have a meeting, or you have to talk to people and say, this is unacceptable. Here's the deal. If you've ever been sexually harassed within this company, here's my phone number, here's my email address. You come to me, okay? Because I'm on your side. If you've ever committed an act of sexual harassment in this company, pack your bags, pack up your office, because you're out of here. And by the way, if we can prosecute, we will prosecute. There is no room in this organization for this. And by the way, you have a fiduciary responsibility to do this, because while the media business is sort of outing their own at this point, think about Mark Halperin, they're going to get around to your industry. I don't care what industry you're in. There's going to be a lot of businesses that are going to get the spotlight trained on them. And you know something? I think that's a good thing. I'm going to tell you something. I used to work for a company where the guy I worked for sexually harassed women. I think mostly verbally, but he sexually harassed women. Nobody did anything about it. Men did nothing about it. The women who worked around him didn't do anything about it, including the wife of the CEO who had the office next to mine and was 2 doors down from him. Nobody did anything about it. Okay? Now, I can remember being uncomfortable. I can remember sort of saying, hey, that's not cool. You really shouldn't talk to people that way. I had no power. Okay? But I should have done more. Okay? But frankly, everybody in that organization knew it, and everybody thought he was harmless and a creep. And here's the deal. We were only half right. And I'll tell you something else. Anybody who worked with me 30 years ago, or knows where I worked 30 years ago, they know exactly who I'm talking about. There is no doubt in their mind who I'm talking about. We all should be ashamed of ourselves. Listen, I hope we've reached a cultural tipping point. I'm not 100% persuaded we are, but I hope so. And here's what I really think. I think the torrent has just begun. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.